Well, hello everyone and welcome. Today in this lecture, we are going to talk about contraception, right? So in the previous lecture, we had started this new chapter called reproductive health, okay? And we were looking at different perspective of different programs that has been initiated by the government of India for the health of the pregnant mother or to-be mother and the child, right? So that part we have covered in the first lecture. Any one of you who have missed it, please go and revisit it first, okay? And today we are going to cover the second part of it, that is contraception, okay? So the very first question arises is, what is contraception, okay? Now, I think contraception is the act of preventing unwanted pregnancy or birth, okay? So in order to control the population, okay, for the health of the mother, for the well-being of the family, it is very much important to prevent the unwanted pregnancy or birth, okay. At the same time, it is also important for spacing between two children, correct? So either for spacing or to control the family size, for the overall well-being of the family, from all the perspective, from the social, economic, every perspective, right? It is important to prevent the unwanted pregnancy or birth, and the process of doing this is called contraception. ठीक है, इसी को हम contraception बोलते हैं. ठीक है. Now, ये क्यों जरूरी है? Again, as I said, it is necessary to meet the objectives of the RCH. So remember, the RCH had objectives such as having only two child, है ना? Government of India ने नारा दिया था, slogan was there, हम दो हमारे दो, correct? So how to achieve it? To achieve it, you need to have contraception. You want to stop any unwanted pregnancy or birth. Or suppose a couple who have already two children, they do not want anymore. There should be some method to do it, correct? And these methods are methods of contraception, okay? Great. So contraception, now you know there are various agents, okay, that can be used to achieve contraception, okay? And all these agents are called contraceptive agents. Now, out of all the contraceptive agents, the ideal contraceptive agent or an ideal contraceptive method is the method which is safe, okay? What we mean by safety is there should be no or minimal side effect, okay? Side effect on the physical, mental health, as well as on the reproductive health, okay? So it should not be like that if a person is using some contraceptive method that would lead to infertility over a long period of use, है ना? मान लो किसी लेडी ने एक कॉन्ट्रासेप्टिव मेथड यूज किया और अगर मान लो उसको उसने 3-4 साल तक कंटिन्यू यूज किया तो बाद में पता चला कि वो इनफर्टाइल हो गई. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. इट शुड बी सेफ विथ मिनिमल और नो साइड इफेक्ट्स, ओके. सेकेंडली क्या होना चाहिए? इट शुड बी रिलायबल. Reliable means it should be effective. यानी कि if a couple do not want to have a pregnancy, they are using one method, so this method should give them 100% reliability of contraception, okay? Accidentally इसका failure नहीं होना चाहिए, pregnancy नहीं होनी चाहिए. So it should be reliable or effective. Third thing, it should be reversible, ताकि जब तक आप चाहते हो कि pregnancy ना हो तब तक ना हो, and when you want a pregnancy you can have it. So ये जो effect हो वो reversible होना चाहिए. It should be user friendly, right? User friendly as in जो contraceptive method है ये easily use कर सके, ठीक है? It should be user friendly, it should be patient compliant, मतलब patient को बहुत दिक्कत ना हो इससे, ठीक है? थर्ड चीज, इट शुड बी इजीली अवेलेबल एंड अफोर्डेबल. अगेन बहुत जरूरी है ये. क्यों? अगर मान लो कोई बहुत अच्छा मेथड है लेकिन इतना महंगा है कि मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल कांट यूज इट, या फिर वो मान लो कि इंडिया में अवेलेबल ही नहीं है, ऐसे मेथड का क्या फायदा? ओके, सो इट शुड बी इजीली अवेलेबल एज वेल एज affordable. Affordability is again an issue. Great. And final thing, it should not affect the libido. ठीक है. Now what is libido? Libido is sexual drive. Okay, so जो आपका libido है एक पर्सन का, उसको ये contraceptive method जो है वो affect नहीं करना चाहिए. Right? So these are some characteristics of an ideal contraceptive. याद रहेगा, it should be safe, reliable, reversible, user-friendly, easily available, affordable, and it should not affect the libido. These all are the characteristics of an ideal contraceptive. Right? Now, there are a lot of contraceptive methods in this world. Okay, they are available, and a couple or a person can choose any one of them depending on their needs or circumstances or their desire, जो कुछ भी है. ठीक है, तो there are many methods. We are going to study each one of them. ठीक है, तो चलिए देखो जितने भी contraceptive methods हैं. Okay, now these contraceptive methods can be broadly classified into two groups. Okay, and these two groups are, first one is temporary methods. Okay, या temporary methods को हम क्या कहते हैं, spacing methods. क्यों बोलते हैं spacing method? देखो temporary method, देखो नाम ही temporary है. It means what? It is a contraceptive method that is going to provide contraception for some time. It is not a permanent thing. Permanent मतलब क्या होगा, एक बार किसी ने ये method use कर लिया तो वो for the life long it is going to give you contraception. You cannot reverse it. Okay, you cannot reverse it. But temporary methods are such that they will only act for some time, and when you don't need, you can reverse it. Okay, और इसीलिए आप इसका किस में यूज कर सकते हैं? To space between children. Suppose there is one pregnancy, एक बच्चा है किसी couple का, and now they don't want another kid for next 3 years, so they can use these methods of contraception. These methods matlab temporary methods of contraception for these 3 years, and again after 3 years if they wish to have the second child, they will stop using these contraceptive methods and they can have a pregnancy. That is called wanted pregnancy or desired pregnancy. Okay, इसीलिए हमने याद कीजिए definition में बोला था, these are the methods to avoid unwanted pregnancy. Okay, great. So temporary methods, और टेम्पररी मेथड्स को ही हमने क्या कहा, स्पेसिंग मेथड्स, याद रहेगा. और जो दूसरा मेथड है दैट इज टर्मिनल मेथड. व्हाट आर दीज? दीज आर बेसिकली द परमानेंट मेथड्स व्हिच आर नॉन रिवर्सिबल, जिसको आप रिवर्स नहीं कर सकते. ठीक है, ग्रेट. अब देखिए जो भी टेम्पररी मेथड्स और स्पेसिंग मेथड्स हैं, देयर आर अ लॉट ऑफ देम. ओके, सो देयर आर अ लॉट ऑफ टेम्पररी मेथड्स सच एज chemicals. Okay, so there are certain chemicals which can provide temporary contraception. Okay, and these fall under the temporary method called chemical method of temporary contraceptives. Okay, दूसरा क्या है? Barrier method. Third one is hormonal method, natural method, and finally IUCD, that is intrauterine contraceptive devices. Okay, IUCDs को हम लोग कई बार IUD में भी रखते हैं, that is intrauterine devices. Okay, so IUD is a broader umbrella. IUD के अंदर आता है IUCD, है ना. तो IUD जो भी intrauterine devices हैं वो सारे आएंगे. ओके, उनमें से जो डिवाइसेस कॉन्ट्रासेप्शन के लिए यूज होते हैं उसको हम बोलते हैं इंट्रायूटेराइन कॉन्ट्रासेप्टिव डिवाइस. एंड सिंस हम यहाँ पे कॉन्ट्रासेप्शन के बारे में पढ़ रहे हैं इसलिए हम लोग सिर्फ किस पे फोकस करेंगे, IUCD यानी कि इंट्रायूटेराइन कॉन्ट्रासेप्टिव डिवाइसेस के बारे में. ओके, ग्रेट. सो टेम्पररी मेथड्स आर broadly of 5 types, that is chemical method, barrier method, hormonal method, natural method, and IUCD. Great. IUCD implants में भी आते हैं. Okay, great. Now जो second type है that is terminal method. Now terminal method is also of 2 types. The first one is called surgical method या sterilization, जो कि आप लोग बचपन से पढ़ते आ रहे हैं. हम इसी में आएगा tubectomy and vasectomy. Okay, those are surgical methods. Why? Because it requires a surgical procedure. Okay, and the second terminal method is called medical termination of pregnancy, या इसी को हम बोलते हैं abortion. Okay, so suppose there is already an unwanted pregnancy and the couple do not want to carry with it, तो इस केस में हम लोग क्या करते हैं, MTP करते हैं, medical termination of pregnancy करते हैं या abortion करते हैं. ओके पिछले लेक्चर्स में हमने इस पे बात की थी और मैंने बोला था कि abortion is illegal in India. Okay, only in certain conditions it is allowed. ठीक है, तो जहां पे भी ये अलाउड है वहां पे इन लेटर प्रेगनेंसी व्हेन इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल थ्रू द केमिकल मेथड्स, तो हम लोग क्या करते हैं, टर्मिनल मेथड यूज करते हैं, उसमें भी एमटीपी करते हैं. नाउ अगेन इट इज अ invasive process, है ना. It is done by a doctor or a trained nurse, especially doctors mainly. Okay, so they terminate the pregnancy and it may require a chemical or a small surgical procedure. Okay, great. So what we are going to do now is we are going to see one by one. Let us start with chemical method of contraception. Okay, so what is chemical method of contraception? Now there are certain chemicals which are known to provide contraception. Okay, there are certain chemicals such as ZnSO4, zinc sulfate, okay, या फिर KMnO4, potassium permanganate, boric acid, lactic acid और citric acid. Now remember, अगर आपको याद है ह्यूमन रिप्रोडक्टिव सिस्टम थर्ड चैप्टर, तो उसमें हमने बात किया था कि एसिडिक एनवायरनमेंट इज नॉट गुड फॉर द स्पर्म, राइट. इन द एसिडिक एनवायरनमेंट द स्पर्म गेट्स किल्ड, right. So if you provide acidic environment to the sperm, it will kill the sperm, and if there is no sperm, there will be no pregnancy, isn't it? So this chemical method mainly take advantage of this thing. They use ZnSO4, KMnO4, boric acid, lactic acid, citric acid, things like this. Okay, and we make a paste of it or a jelly or a foam of it. Okay, and we put it inside the vagina. So when insemination occurs, the semen is deposited. Now this semen is present in an acidic environment and this acid will kill the sperms, right. So in chemical methods, these chemicals are going to kill the sperm. Okay, and when there will be no sperm, there will be no chances of fertilization. Simple, right? Now since these chemicals are going to kill the sperm, these are known as spermicides. And spermi for sperm, sides for killing, right. So these chemicals are known as spermicides, or we call them spermicidal agents. We call them spermicidal agents. Okay, so what we do, we take these chemicals and make foam or tablet or cream or jelly. Okay, and this is packed in tubes and given or sold on the medical counters. ठीक है, what female has to do, it has to take these foams or tablets or creams or jellies and put it in the vagina before the intercourse. Okay, so that if insemination occurs, the semen which has a sperm, these spermicidal agents will kill all the sperm present in the semen and reducing the chances of pregnancy. Okay, now what are these commercial things which are available? So there are some vaginal foams or tablets such as Today. Okay, so Today is the trade name of one such vaginal foam, okay, which is present in the market. Similarly, NIM 76 India में बना है ये. Okay, so NIM 76 is a cream or jelly based spermicidal agent. ठीक है. Now, ये जो मेथड है, केमिकल मेथड जो है जिसमें कि हम लोग स्पर्मिसाइडल एजेंट्स का यूज कर रहे हैं, स्पर्मिसाइड्स का यूज कर रहे हैं, इट हैज अ वेरी हाई फेलियर रेट. ओके, अ वेरी हाई फेलियर रेट ऑफ अराउंड 30%. Now 30% is a great number. Okay, so if a person or a lady is using this chemical method of contraception, there is a chance of 30% error. Only 70% success can be guaranteed. यानी कि out of 10 times there is a chance that 3 times she can get pregnant using these methods. So it is quite a high number. Okay, and therefore mostly these chemical method of contraceptions are not used. It is rarely used. Okay, great. So this was chemical method. The second one we are going to study is called barrier method. Okay, now देखो ये नाम ही है barrier method, मतलब there will be a barrier as in there will be some physical obstacle in between, है ना? So barrier method is basically there is a physical obstacle which will stop the mixing of the two gametes. Okay, जब sperm और ova मिलेंगे ही नहीं तो fertilization नहीं होगा, तो pregnancy भी नहीं होगा. Okay, this is the whole idea of barrier method. तो barrier method क्या है? It is acting as a physical barrier. Okay, now अगर हम barrier method को देखते हैं तो इसमें भी बहुत सारे agents. Now, one of the barrier method which is most commonly used, in fact, it is the most widely used method of contraception is condoms. Okay, तो barrier method में सबसे effective है condoms. Okay, और जो condoms होते हैं, what are they? These are basically thin film of latex, है ना? ये किसके बने हैं? ये बने हुए हैं latex के, which is a kind of rubber. ओके तो ये थिन रबर के बने हुए हैं, लेटेक्स के बने हुए होते हैं और ये दोनों तरह के होते हैं. देयर आर मेल कॉन्डम्स एज वेल एज फीमेल कॉन्डम्स. नाउ बोथ द कॉन्डम्स आर used on the external genitalia. Okay, in case of male condoms it has to be worn over the penis. The female condom has to be inserted into the vagina. Okay, और इन दोनों condoms का function क्या है? The function is very simple. They are like a thin sheet. Okay, अब ये जो sheet है, it is actually preventing the direct physical contact between the male sex organ and the female sex organ. Okay, since both are never coming in direct contact, okay, the condoms help the people protecting from the STDs, है ना, from the sexually transmitting diseases. ठीक है, तो if a couple is using condoms or if two people are using condoms, the condom makes sure that the two people never come in direct physical contact. I mean their reproductive organs are never in direct physical contact and therefore it protects from the STDs. Not only this, during such an intercourse where condoms are used, the semen will be discharged and it will be collected into the condom. Okay, so the entire semen will remain in the condom. It will never go into the female reproductive organ. Okay, and since it is not going into the female reproductive tract, there is no chances of pregnancy. Okay, so this is how it works. So condoms are basically providing contraception as well as protection from STDs, and therefore condoms are one of the best method of contraception. Okay, not only this, these are very economic, they are easily available, they are completely reversible, there is no side effects. So from almost every perspective, the condoms are best. Okay, however, if we talk about the failure rate comes as 5 to 15%. Now this failure rate is a vague number now, okay, because a lot of people use them inappropriately, okay, increasing the failure rate. If it is properly used, the failure rate can be drastically low. It can be as low as 3% or even less than 3%. Okay, so the condoms are one of the best methods of contraception. Now, apart from condoms, there are other things available in the barrier method, and these are diaphragms or cervical caps or vault caps. Okay, now if you look at diaphragm or cervical cap or vault caps, these are again things which are made up of either latex or silicone. So this is diaphragm, then cervical cap and vault cap. These all are being used by the female. Okay, so these all are barrier methods. These all are devices to be used by the female. They has to be inserted deep into the vagina. Okay, so that they will sit around the cervical opening, blocking the path, blocking the cervix, so that the semen cannot enter into the uterine space. Great. Therefore, these devices, that is diaphragm, cervical caps, or vault caps, are only going to provide contraception, but they are not going to provide safety from STDs. Why? Because they are still not acting as a barrier between the male and female sex organs. Okay, still there is direct contact between the reproductive organs of the partners, or the male and the female. As a result, there is exchange of body fluids, which is the main causative agent for the transmission of STDs. Okay, तो याद रखिएगा इस बात को. Barrier method में only and only condom is going to provide protection from STDs along with contraception, whereas rest other things like diaphragm, cervical cap, or vault cap, they are only going to provide contraception. They are not going to provide safety from the STDs. What one advantage these other devices have is reusability. So these all are reusable. They can be washed and reused. Okay. Now, when we are talking of usability, mostly the diaphragm, cervical cap, or vault caps are used along with the chemical method. You know, यानी कि these all are used along with the spermicideal agents. तो साथ में इसमें क्रीम, फोम, जेली, ये जो है उनको भी लगा करके और फिर यूज किया जाता है. ठीक है, great. So this was barrier method. Now what we are going to see is IUCD, यानी कि intrauterine contraceptive devices. Okay, now what are these intrauterine devices? Intrauterine devices is actually a subsection of intrauterine device, है ना. तो इनसे ऊपर एक चीज होती है जिसको हम बोलते हैं IUD, intrauterine device. Okay, now all the intrauterine devices which provide contraception are known as IUCD or intrauterine contraceptive devices. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे हम लोग सिर्फ और सिर्फ किसकी बात करेंगे? IUCDs की. ठीक है, the first IUCD was made up of silver. ठीक है, silver, and it was a small spring-like structure of silver. ठीक है, तो पतला सा aluminium, silver sheet था. Okay, and the silver has this ability to irritate the uterine wall so that implantation नहीं हो, है ना, phagocytosis ज़्यादा हो, और इसकी वजह से pregnancy नहीं होती थी. ठीक है. Now, the first IUCD was used by Dr. Grafenberg. याद रखिएगा. The first IUCD, which was made up of silver, was used by Dr. Grafenberg. Okay. Now, since then, this concept of IUCDs have evolved a lot over time. Okay, and today we have different type of IUCDs. Mainly, there are three type of IUCDs. That is non-medicated IUCD, copper releasing IUCD, and hormone or medicated. इसी को हम क्या बोलते हैं? Medicated. Okay, medicated IUCD. ठीक है, तो एक एक करके हम लोग देखते हैं. जो नॉन मेडिकेटेड IUCD है, it is the simplest one and it is either made up of plastic or stainless steel. ठीक है. Now when it is made up of plastic, it is not simple plastic, but it is plastic impregnated with barium sulfate. Impregnated with बेरियम सल्फेट. तो याद रखिएगा, ये जो बेरियम सल्फेट केमिकल है, इसको हम लोग प्लास्टिक में इम्प्रेग्नेट करते हैं, यानी कि छोटे छोटे ड्रॉपलेट्स होते हैं वहां पे. ओके, एंड इट प्रोवाइड्स कॉन्ट्रासेप्शन. ओके, या फिर जो दूसरे टाइप का नॉन मेडिकेटेड IUCD हो सकता है, दैट कुड बी अ सिंपल स्टेनलेस स्टील लूप और वायर. ठीक है. नाउ द एग्जांपल इज लिपीज लूप, और जो लिपीज लूप है, इट इज अ नॉन मेडिकेटेड प्लास्टिक IUCD. ठीक है, प्लास्टिक का बना हुआ है. ये काम कैसे करता है? ये बेसिकली इट इंक्रीजेस द फैगोसाइटोसिस ऑफ द स्पर्म इनसाइड द यूट्रस. ठीक है, तो यूट्रस में ये फैगोसाइटोसिस को इंक्रीज कर देता है. ओके, नाउ द नेक्स्ट टाइप ऑफ IUCD इज copper releasing IUCD. Okay, now this copper releasing IUCDs are basically a wire, okay, made up of copper. So these are thin copper wire, okay, which are shaped in such a way that it can fit into the uterine space, and provide contraception. ठीक है, काम कैसे करते हैं ये? These copper wires will slowly degrade and release copper ion यानी कि Cu2+. Okay, और ये जो Cu2+ ions हैं, they are going to interact with the sperm and decrease their motility, है ना? So they are going to suppress the motility of the sperm as well as the fertilization capacity. ठीक है, तो अब जो स्पर्म है उसकी मोटिलिटी रिड्यूस हो गई है, उसकी फर्टिलाइजेशन कैपेसिटी रिड्यूस हो गई है. एज अ रिजल्ट these sperms will fail to fertilize with the ovum and there will be no pregnancy. This is how these copper releasing properties or IUCDs are working. Okay, what is the example? Example is copper T. CUT is read as copper T. Basically it is a T-shaped copper wire. ठीक है, पतला सा वायर है. या फिर Cu7, ये भी क्या है? एक कॉपर टी है, कॉपर का बना हुआ IUCD है. The third and most important is multi-load 375. Okay, now multi-load 375 have been frequently asked, तो याद रखिएगा, multi-load 375 is a copper releasing IUCD. Okay, great. The third type of IUCD is medicated or हार्मोन रिलीजिंग IUCD. अब ये जो IUCDs होते हैं इनके ऊपर जो है हार्मोन जो है लिक्विड जो होता है उसको एक लेयर में ऐसे क्या करते हैं, हम कोट कर देते हैं. ओके, नाउ व्हेन इट इज इंसर्टेड द हार्मोन विल स्लोली बी रिमूव्ड फ्रॉम दिस कोट एंड विल बी रिलीज्ड इनटू द यूटेराइन स्पेस. ठीक है, तो ये धीरे धीरे होगा, इसीलिए ऐसा जो IUCD है उससे हार्मोन विल बी स्लोली रिलीज्ड ओवर द टाइम, और जब तक ये रिलीज होता रहेगा तब तक इट विल प्रोवाइड कॉन्ट्रासेप्शन. ओके, यूजुअली ये 6-6 महीने, किसी किसी केस में तो ये 5-5 साल तक होता है. ओके, सो स्लोली ओवर टाइम दिस थिंग्स आर इंप्रूविंग एंड नाउ देयर आर IUCDs व्हिच प्रोवाइड इवन 5 years ऑफ कॉन्ट्रासेप्शन. ठीक है, ग्रेट. सो हाउ डू दे वर्क? करते क्या है? ये जो हार्मोन रिलीजिंग IUCD हैं या मेडिकेटेड IUCDs हैं, दे आर बेसिकली कंटेनिंग हार्मोन्स, नेमली प्रोजेस्टेरॉन. ठीक है, नाउ बिकॉज ऑफ दिस द यूट्रस बिकम अनसुटेबल फॉर इम्प्लांटेशन. ओके, एज वेल एज द सर्विक्स बिकम हॉस्टाइल फॉर द स्पर्म. तो बेसिकली जो मेडिकेटेड IUCDs हैं, दे आर प्रिवेंटिंग द प्रोसेस ऑफ इम्प्लांटेशन. ठीक है, व्हाट आर द एग्जांपल्स? एग्जांपल बहुत जरूरी है. LNG-20 बार बार पूछा गया है, LNG-20. एंड दूसरा इज प्रोजेस्टासर्ट. नाम देखो, प्रोजेस्टा इज फॉर प्रोजेस्टेरॉन, सर्ट बिकॉज इट इज एन इंसर्ट. ठीक है, जो भी आपका IUCD है क्या है? एक तरह का इंसर्ट है. Why? Because IUCDs needs to be installed inside the uterus and it requires a doctor or a trained health professional or a trained nurse. ठीक है, ये खुद से आप नहीं कर सकते हैं. इट इज अ डिमेरिट ऑफ दिस कि इफ यू वांट टू यूज IUCD you have to go to hospital. There is a minor procedure in which the health professional will insert this particular device into the uterus. ठीक है, ये कोई सर्जिकल प्रोसेस नहीं है, इसमें कोई कटवट नहीं होता है, लेकिन अगेन इट इज अ स्मॉल प्रोसीजर. That is the problem. आप खुद से इसको नहीं कर सकते. ठीक है, now it is a very good method of contraception because of its very low failure rate. The failure rate is only about 1 to 3%. ठीक है, तो बहुत कम होता है इसका फेलियर रेट. प्लस जनरली एक डिवाइस अगर इंसर्ट किया, इट विल प्रोवाइड कॉन्ट्रासेप्शन फॉर 6 months और 1 year और 2 years. आज के डेट में मे बी इवन 5 years. So it is very good for long term temporary contraception. ठीक है, या फिर it is a very good method to space between children. Okay, so today we are summing up this lecture here, and rest of the contraceptive methods we will see in the next lecture. Today we have covered the chemical method, barrier method, and the IUCDs. In next lecture we will start from the hormonal method and natural method, and then we will talk the terminal methods, that is sterilization and MTP, medical termination of pregnancy. Okay, so stay tuned. and keep studying. Take very good care of yourself. See you in the next lecture. Thank you.